Jeff's going to let me talk some basketball on the radio show again. Joining us, talk about the upcoming Sixers season, longtime Sixers beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer, friend of the show, Keith Pompey. Keith, welcome back, man.
What's happening, fellas? How y'all doing?
We're doing good. I wasn't sure whether you were going to come
You're not
on.
doing that good, but go ahead.
No, I'm not doing that.
Right.
My sports fandom is in flames right now. So, I wasn't sure whether you're coming on to trash Rutgers, the Eagles, or to talk Sixers with us. So I'll let you start and give you the floor.
We got to talk about how good Scatterboo is, babe. And
He's
Jackson
been that good.
If he can stay healthy.
Scatterboo's been that good since he's been at Arizona State. I have no idea how he fell that far in the draft. It's because he's not taller. I mean, he's just a bowling ball out there. And look, Jeff will tell you. All season I said, can you be complaining when your team is 4-0? And these problems have existed the whole time. They are not going away.
You realize he talked about the Giants running back, and somehow you turned it into the Eagles.
Yes, because everything goes back to
just so we're clear. Look, we're talking about Cam Scatterboo. We're talking about you.
Who did Cam Scatterboo run over last week? The Eagles. Yes, thank you.
Correct. So why would you want to bring that up?
Because the Eagles have problems.
Do you understand how bleep talking works?
I do. But you can't talk bleep when your team plays like that. And you can't talk bleep when your team has the problems that it has. So I'm just being realistic about it. I'm not here to tell you. We all know what the Giants are.
This is the moment in the show where you need to take it. Not just sit there and take it. That's all you need to do. Look, every time Keith goes on, we all know that each of us has to take it for a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. Guess what?
Because here comes my turn.
Rutgers is what kind of school is Rutgers now? I don't know. Let me see. What are you guys good at?
Lacrosse, maybe?
Graduating. Soccer. We're very good.
Field hockey?
Yeah, it's a soccer.
Yeah, we're a good soccer school.
Oh, no. I do like Shiano. I do like him a lot.
Did you see Shiano the other day? Shiano went off on the NIL stuff. He clearly does not like what happened at Rutgers in the past and has now taken over it with the new president and athletic director there.
Well, you gotta pay him, bro.
He literally, Keith, you'd appreciate this. Reporter was asking a question, and mid-question, he put his hand up and he goes, "Halt." And just stopped it and went on for 4 minutes. And then he's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And it was just drop the mic and he was done. Like, clearly he's got opinions about it, but nothing's going to change till Rutgers fixes the NIL.
You got to pay him.
Until Rutgers fixes the NIL?
The way that they handle the NIL. Rutgers is playing in a conference that is looking to have angel investors and huge private funds. And they've got a couple of donors putting together ice cream socials. That's just not going to work.
All right. Can we? I actually wanted to have Keith on the show to talk basketball.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. Well, then we could talk Giants all day if you
just wanted to
do that too. But we can have him back in 2 weeks when it happens again as well.
Okay, good.
But I have a question that is not Sixers related.
Okay.
My first question has to do with the Celtics.
Okay.
Okay. Did you see what happened up in Boston?
Wasn't like 57-4 when the coaches played the media members?
What were they thinking? What was Missoula thinking that he thought that was a good idea to somehow bully a bunch of reporters to say, if I put a bunch of retired pro basketball players against you, I can beat you. And by the way, full court press. And second, what were the reporters thinking even going along with this?
Yeah, Jeff, we've played in a media game before.
No, but what it was is, did you know how it? So the reporters actually, from my understanding, they showed up believing that they were going to compete against each other. The normal.
Right. That's how it normally happens.
Yeah. Then he just at the last minute was like, "Nah, you're playing the." but apparently, I called a good friend of mine, Gary Washburn, who's a columnist there, and he covers the team. And I said, "Gee, did you play?" And we all were like, "Gee, did you play?" And he's like, "Nah, I didn't play. I don't go for that." Meaning he normally doesn't show up. For instance, for me, I don't go to the media game when they had the Sixers used to host it. It looked like me, a lot of guys who wanted to live out a dream, some of them, right? And I was like, I'm not doing it. So I don't even know if the best players were actually there. You know what I mean? And you feel sorry for the young lady because they kept raining threes on her. She's running out trying to close out with her arms up, and it's like,
Have you ever seen that before? Like Jeff and I have played in those media games where like it's a bunch of media people who aren't good. I've never seen it where they put out a bunch of former
Yeah,
pros.
but the media games we played in were baseball related, and if they had Randy Johnson pitching on the other side, I'd say, "Nah, I'm out. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm not.
Good.
I'll sit on the sidelines and watch him kill some birds. Like I'm not. I'm not playing it. I just don't understand how little of a person you have to be as a professional basketball coach to say, I need to somehow put reporters in their place by
That's what it was.
beating up on them.
He wanted to embarrass them. That's what it was.
But how do you embarrass? But if I go and ask a bunch of scientists to enter a competition against a bunch of people that are not science related and ask a bunch of science questions, how does it embarrass people that aren't really in that field?
Well, I think what it is the point is like it, man. Like it's kind of like there are going to be questions this year where someone says, "Hey, man, he can't defend. Hey, man, he can't shoot. Hey, man, he can't do that." And then they're going to look at it and turn to him and say, "Oh, you criticizing me? We we've seen what you've done, right?" So again,
but the reporters aren't getting paid
I
to play
know,
basketball. They haven't spent their life
I
honing that
know,
skill.
I know, but you know what the deal is, bro.
I,
That's
I
what
just
it
think
is.
I just think it's small.
It is small. I mean, it is small. I mean, but
Can't
that's
imagine how it
what it
needs
is.
any better
It's
coverage.
kind of like
Like you embarrass all the people that write about you all season before the season starts. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. Like
yeah, it's
that's like
crazy. So then they were saying like, "Hey, what if the Sixers did it?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't even play basketball." I joked around like, "Yeah, let's go," but I don't play. I mean, heck, I didn't even play on a high school basketball team. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't my sport. I was a football player and track runner.
I mean, just thank goodness that none of the reporters got hurt. I mean, if I was the assistant coach, by the way, I would have said to the coach, "No, we're not doing this. I'm not. If we want to play them and have some fun, that's one thing. I'm not doing full court press like against a bunch of people who don't play basketball for a living."
Keith, Jeff saved this. He did not tell me that he was going to open. He's so animated by it. It's like he can see himself getting dunked on by a Sixers
I just think
coach
being
or
decent,
something.
I thought about this in the context of when I used to go down and cover the Sixers, and we would, and I'd sit there with Keith beforehand, and then we'd go out, and you'd see that there were players and coaches who treated reporters with respect, and there were players and coaches who didn't. And I never, to this day, I don't understand that in sports, and I don't understand it in general in society, why people can't just treat each other decently. And when I saw this story and the way that Missoula handled it, it just it's character that matters. Obviously, wins matter, but that doesn't show me character. And when I saw the way Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid treated reporters down at the Sixers facility, character matters, and it all comes out in the end.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I don't think it's the smartest thing, and they're going to have a tough season up there in Boston. We'll get to the East in a little bit. I do want to start with you. First year, like, what's the overall vibe down there right now, Keith? I mean, you saw the blue-white scrimmage. I saw the other day Paul George was finally out on the court practicing, and Embiid's been out there.
Embiid's in the best shape of his career.
Looks like it. I mean, what are you saying? Keith does not agree with you on that.
No, I didn't say anything. Here's the thing. It's weird because we talk about the vibe and we talk about a lot of different things, and I think people are seeing Embiid out there practicing and in the scrimmage, and a lot of people are getting excited, right? But to me, it's an inter squad scrimmage, and if anybody knows about the NBA inter squad scrimmages, is where you have the blue and the white team. Well, the blue team is the starters and the top rotation players. The white team is the bench guys, the Exhibit 10 guys, the G League guys, what have you. So it's really set up for you to dominate. It's set up for the guys that the people see that they love are going to be the ones who, like Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, if Paul George would have played, the fans would have been like, "Ooh, that's in it, right?" in that instance. And that's how they do practice. So it's kind of like you have the rotation guys practicing against the scout guys, so to speak, right? That's how you do it. Um, so when you look at it and we talk about what's the buzz, it's hard to from a real basketball standpoint, it's hard to really gauge anything because you look at it and you see Joel Embiid dominating. Well, but what he was doing is he was being more of a facilitator. Like he hit a couple shots at certain times. So to me, that really didn't show me anything. Like okay, it's like okay, Joel's on the court. That is a plus. But then when you look around, there was no Jared McCain, there was no Paul George, there was no uh, what's my man's name, Trendon Wofford, right? So there if we think about it, Quentin Grimes did play, but in those first two preseason games, they were played without five of their top eight players, and that is excluding Kyle Lowry, who didn't play, and that's also excluding Eric Gordon, who only played in one of those games, and he didn't play in the last game. So when you say this and we talk about the buzz, it seems like yes, the 76ers are getting this message out like, yeah, look at Joel. Joel looks good, right? Yeah. Look, Tyrese Maxey, we're changing our offense to play where no matter who plays, we're still going to have the same impact. And you guys know sports. You know that,
A little bit.
is a reason why the Washington Wizards, is a reason why the Charlotte Hornets and teams like that didn't make the playoffs because they didn't have they didn't have the level of talent at the Oklahoma City Thunder as the Boston Celtics and all these other teams. So to me, it's kind of like the 76ers want to keep the fans engaged, but right now, we talk about vibe. No one knows how good this team is going to be. Like
Yeah.
we just don't. It's too many things it's predicated on, and the things that it's predicated on have not played. I'm talking
Well,
about Joel Embiid's health and Paul George.
you mentioned they want to keep the fans engaged. As much as I want to keep Jason knows exactly
I know.
where I'm going with
We've
this.
been
Yeah.
messaging about
Yeah.
this.
No tickets, huh? Your guys don't have any tickets this year.
We no, they keep calling, but
Oh, they called me once. I was like, bro, I covered the team.
they're gonna make a reporter start paying is what they're gonna start doing because they need to fill the seats. And we used to cover minor league baseball a lot, and the tried and true way for minor league baseball to bring in fans is to do all this side stuff, is the free giveaways and all these theme nights and stuff. And I said to Jason at one point a few weeks ago, when I see the stuff that I get from the Sixers, it's like getting the promos for it's like minor league baseball is now running the Sixers.
I'm just going to read you a couple
Oh
of.
no, hold on. We're supposed to get excited the fact that they're bringing back the Angry Rabbit. We have to get excited about the fact that a certain number of times they're going to wear a different uniform, which by the way, they are celebrating a team that lost the finals. We are not celebrating a world champion. We're celebrating a team that lost the championship for some reason. And these are the things that we're supposed to celebrate and be distracted by and get excited about when they don't seem to get as attendance declines, the distance to a championship gets further, is that the fans in the city are not stupid. And the fans in the city want to support this team, and the fans in the city want to see a winner. Nobody cares about the rabbit. Nobody cares about what the court looks like. I don't think any. Good.
But it doesn't make me.
You're not going to buy a ticket. You're not going to be any more interested because of that. You're going to be interested because they actually got players that want to play here, that are going to do well and are going to play together and aren't going to be injured halfway through the season, and we have to sit there and watch load management all
They're
season.
going further than that, though. They're also doing things where come shoot free throws after a game, come watch warm-ups before the game. So I said to Jeff,
but they've been doing that. They've been doing that for a while, haven't they?
Well, I was going to say,
are they
trying to be more fan friendly because of it, or are they being more exhibitionist minor league baseball like Jeff seems to think that they are?
I feel like they know that the team is going to struggle, and they're trying to do whatever they can to get people. Now, here's the funny thing about hip hop. I remember when I first got on the beat, and y'all remember this too. You remember they got rid of hip hop. Like it was
Yeah,
like to a point where it was time to get rid of them, and then all of a sudden they got a dog, right?
that doesn't
So,
look like a dog.
but remember they got the dog. So now all of a sudden they want to bring hip hop back. And I get it, this and that. Now I'll just give you guys some insight. I talked to a guy and I said, look, bro, explain this to me. You know, it's one of those things where you guys are celebrating a team 25th anniversary of a team that lost in the finals. Won the first game and then got a gentleman swept, right? And
Yep.
he was like, Keith, the fans wanted this jersey for years, and the league basically wouldn't allow us to wear these unis unless it's like in honor of something. So what they're doing is they're like basically brought these unis back, these jerseys back, but since it's the 25th anniversary, they're saying this like, but to me, it says when you speak of this, and I get it, it's a marketing thing. But when you speak of it, there's two things wrong. First off, it's kind of saying like we're celebrating, like Jeff said, second best. So the goal was always to win the championship. Now it's like you're saying, hey, we didn't get the championship, but we got second best. So it's second best, right? The second thing that really and I think that's not good for like winning it all. Like you become complacent. Like, you know, you're
Mm-hmm.
celebrating a loss.
Like the
The second thing
process.
is
It sets a tone.
they set the tone. The second thing is when you really look at this jersey ain't the actual jersey that they wore. The jersey that they wore, the sleeves were cut off. It was like real loose and free. This
Mm-hmm.
one is a regular black jersey with just this stuff on it. It's just you know what I mean. Now, don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong, the emblem is the same, but if you look at it, you can go back. I beg you guys to look at it. Remember, they had those real big jerseys where just the sleeves were cut off. This one is a regular basketball unit. It doesn't have that same type of vibe.
So it's
So
a
when you
knockoff throwback.
it's a makeup throwback. That's what it is. It's kind of like, oh, we're not going all the way, so we're going to do this. So when to me, when you say that, it's different, man. And a lot of people don't know. They're like, oh, we got the jerseys back. Nah, that ain't what Allen Iverson wore. Nah, that's not what they wore, and that's not. And so I get it, but like, here's something else that people gotta pay attention to. Now, they only had one preseason game. They had one. There weren't a lot of people in there, y'all. And remember how they said those red seats? Well, the seats are black now. So you can't tell. Like you couldn't really tell, but there weren't a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now again, that's something to pay attention to because it was a preseason game. A preseason game that Joel Embiid, Paul George, VJ Edgecombe, uh, name a player, didn't play. So the true test is going to be what is it going to be like in December and January, right? Because you know in October season opener you might get some people first couple games, but what is it going to be like if the team starts struggling? How many people are going to show up? You know what I'm saying?
Well, we
How
don't
many
have to
people are going to
show
show
up.
up?
Adam Silver told us we don't need to show up. We could just watch highlights.
Yeah, but can you? But what if you don't have that subscription?
I'll pay for
That's
it,
the
Keith.
thing. You don't have
Yeah,
to. You can now watch
yeah,
highlights on ESPN.
That's the worst thing that a commissioner could say.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
look, I don't begrudge them marketing and wearing jerseys. I begrudge the product that right now nobody can answer any questions about what's going to be there. You said it. Nobody's played together. Like I'm reading some of your stories and I'm reading Nick Nurse's quote, and you tell me it seems like VJ Edgecombe may be the starter on opening night next to Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, and that's what it seems that way, right? It seems that way, unless they. I mean, here's the thing about VJ. Like, I'm a little torn with that, right? And the reason why I'm torn is because I feel like if you got a champion, a team, and you're trying to win a championship, you got to pick the best five players out there, right? And in my opinion, the best 5 players right now in a starting lineup would be Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, um, um, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, and Joel Embiid if they're healthy. Now, here's the thing: if you feel like your team can't win, and you got the number 3 overall pick, and you're thinking about the future and stuff like that, well, guess what? You got to play him a lot to try to make sure you give him, get him ready for, for when time is right, whatever.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were going to say he has an injury. We need to sit him out for a year and start the process again.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the problem. They probably won't get that pick this year. And, but the crazy part is when you really think about that with them tanking last year, this draft is supposed to be way better than last year's draft. And I know they all say that. I know they always say that. But, we found out that this draft was just top heavy, right? So you look at it and you're like, wow, did y'all really make the right decision? But it is what it is.
I want to make this clear. Keith has done a big service to the Sixers, probably by accident. The fact is I thought that they were just celebrating the loser team for no reason. It does make sense. Fans do want these jerseys. Fans do want them to wear them and buy them. If the NBA is making them do this way in order to sell what they want to sell and what the fans want, then they should do it. They just need to find a different way to do it. Don't celebrate any part of this when you're playing the team that beat you. Just an idea. Find a way to do this more subtly, and so that it doesn't feel so artificial that we're supposed to celebrate something at a time when the city feels like the team is losing. The team has gotten progressively worse over the last few years. And that's my concern. Is it was the same thing. I love Gritty, but when the Flyers were bad, they had the distraction of Gritty. Now we're doing something similar, and it's, I think, less subtle when you're bringing back hip hop and jerseys and doing multiple celebrations over the course of the season.
Can hip hop shoot the 3 from the wing?
I used to be a high flyer though.
I mean, that's all I care about. Is I care about the product on the court. They can market however they want if they're playing good basketball. Nobody cares what type of theme nights you do if you're winning. But when you're losing and it looks like you're doing them to fill seats, then it looks more transparent.
I got a way to fill seats. Much like Missoula, maybe the Sixers head coach can force Keith to play hip hop in one-on-one.
God, poor Keith. He had no idea that this is what he was getting. His face, if you all could see him on the radio right now, he is so unamused by Jeff.
This is what you get for dropping Michigan and Rutgers and
all I know is Texas trashed Michigan last year.
Yeah, I know. Oklahoma.
Can I ask him real basketball questions, Jeff, about the product on the court?
Go ahead while I change.
Whether or not Joel Embiid is on the court is a question, but when he's on the court, it seems like, as Jeff puts on his Michigan national champions hat and Keith gets a reaction, it seems like the coach is actually experimenting with putting Bona at the 4 with Embiid at the 5. Is that something that works for this team?
It looked really good. Again, that was the blue right scrimmage. But it's funny when they do that. Bona is actually playing the 5 and Joel's playing the 4. The
distributor there? Is that why? Is Joel at the 4 because he's the distributor in that situation?
Kind of, sort of, but also, like, let's face it, like when they get out and go right now, Bona is more athletic than Joel. He's fluid. He could do this. Joel's a better shooter. So Joel can play at the elbow where Bona is kind of like underneath the basket in the dunker spot, so to speak. But here's the deal. I like it a lot. But in the 3 pre-exhibition games that Bona's played, he picked up 2 early fouls in all 3, right? You look at Bona, you also want him to be your backup center, right? So if Bona is on the bench with foul trouble, right, and then you want to take Joel out, it's up to the Sixers. Like, I like Drummond, but is Bona being the backup center or like starting in place of Embiid when Embiid doesn't play because they feel like Bona is a better option? You know what I mean? So if Bona is going to get in foul trouble, can you really rely on that lineup knowing that it's going to alter your rotation for at least for the first half? You know what I mean? So that's the question that they have to answer. But it looks good. But again, we'll find out what happens on the 22nd or like when they start getting stretched against really good teams. Because, yeah, it looks good, but it looked good against Andre Drummond and Jabari Walker. You know what I'm saying? Like, it looked good against them.
What do you think the plan is for what this team is supposed to look like? Is this going to be a faster paced team, or is this going to be a more half court team? Like, what's the philosophy?
Faster paced team with the ball flying everywhere. It's going to be, they're down. They're going to have their 2-man game, but it's going to be less of that. It's not going to be as much, right? Where guys are cutting, passing, enable you to take advantage of everything that other people have. Now, the thing is, ideally, guys like Quentin Grimes, guys like VJ Edgecombe, guys like Kelly Oubre, if the offense works the way that they want to, they should get a lot of open shot opportunities, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
no matter what, Joel's going to attract the crowd. He's playing at the elbow. He's going to dump it down. He's going to play. They're going to swing the ball. Quentin Grimes, even in the scrimmage that they played in, Quentin Grimes had a lot of wide open 3-point attempts, like just wide open, because Maxey and Embiid attracts a crowd. So I think that that's what it is. But again, it's one of those things where no matter what the offense looks like, and they can say what they want, in order for it to work, Joel Embiid has to be playing at a dominant level, and the same thing for Paul George, in my opinion. Because if not, if they're struggling and people are like, oh, well, I'm going to go out there and deal with them. Like, we're just going to lock everybody else down.
All right, Jason. So here's my question to you. Do you buy that they can be faster paced when you have a center who's had a history of stopping at the half court line?
I'm sitting here thinking it sounds great. I just wonder how Embiid is going to get up and down the court at a faster paced game, or is it basically like when you're back to playing like youth basketball where the big center just stays back while everybody goes ahead and runs? Like I don't know. Like in theory, it's a more exciting brand of basketball, and you would think that the pieces that they have outside of Embiid and George would lend to that. But when your two big stars are guys who hinder that process, I just wonder how it all works. Keith, how are they going to mesh that together?
And that's the big question. Because now they're saying they're younger, they're more athletic, they're this and that.
All
But
George and
people
Joel
forget,
Embiid are the same age.
well, yeah, they're talking about the guys that they picked up. But here's the thing: a lot of people aren't talking about. They said the same thing 2 years ago. But
Yes.
a lot of people were like caught up in the James Harden stuff, right? So where there's going to be a lot of passes, guys cutting this and that. Now, we give them credit. They did it for the first 12 games of the season, and they had the best record in the NBA. And then all of a sudden, Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid had phenomenal games, and people are like, whoa, this 2-man game is working. So what happens is they went away from what they had and they start doing a 2-man game. The problem is that when everybody start focusing on a 2-man game, the Sixers, everybody else was just standing around. And there was games where, there was one half, I think, that Tobias Harris or whoever it was, they had the third most shot attempts of anyone, and it was like at 3, right? And then what happens, then when they get the ball, it's like they're rushing to score, they're rushing to do stuff, and it just messed up. So my thing is, here's the deal. We all know in the preseason everything looks great. Everyone says stuff. And now, granted, um, but what happens when they go up against a tough competition? And then if Joel feels like he can play better and says, you know, I'm a go. I know that I gotta score. I gotta help the team from scoring. by scoring, excuse me. So what happens then? Now, it's not to say that it's going to happen, but in the past it always has. And then, how are guys going to deal with it? Like, we're talking about we're trying to get Quentin Grimes more shots. We're trying to get Jared McCain more shots. We're trying to get Kelly Oubre more shots. But what happens if Joel feels like the best way for them to win is him taking shots, especially if the team starts struggling? So to me, it's like it all sounds good on paper, just like it did 2 years ago, and they were successful with it. But then they realized that the Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid two-man game was tough to stop from a pick and roll standpoint. So to me, that's a question mark.
Without the stars playing in the preseason, you've been able to see some of the other guys under the roster, some of the other moves that have been made. Anybody that we should watch out, surprise contributor to the lineup this season that we're not looking at?
The one guy who really stood out to me was John Barlow, from a role player. You know what? I'm going to go old school for you guys. He reminds me of Mike Ivoroni.
Oh, wow. There's a name.
And Mark Ivoroni. I said Mike.
Yeah.
Mark. So, and from the standpoint of where, traditionally he wouldn't be a starter, right? But he's starting and he's doing things. Now, the difference between Mark Ivoroni, I really can't tell you what he did for the Sixers. I was a kid at that particular time.
He
I knew
fouled a lot of people.
He what?
He fouled
a
lot.
lot
Oh,
of
he
people.
fouled a lot. Yeah, he fouled a lot. But when
You'll
you
fit
look
in
at,
great.
but when you look at Barlow has done what Kelly Oubre did a couple years ago. He mastered how to be impactful in the game without having any plays called for him. And Barlow, through these preseason games, he's probably been playing harder than anyone else. He the last game they played, he had 9 rebounds. 6 of them came on the offensive end. He gets putbacks. He does a lot of things. He's a guy that you don't have to worry about getting shot attempts, right? He plays extremely hard. So to me, he's a guy. Now, again, he's one of these guys that's on a two-way contract, right? But he deserves to be in a standard deal. So you assume that the 76ers at some point this season will give him that standard deal, but again, we'll find out what happens when the Bullets go live. But he's been impressive to me.
What about Jabari Walker?
It's funny because Jabari Walker hasn't done the things that he's okay, but he's been overshadowed by Barlow. You know what I mean? Like, Walker, the things that you thought that Walker was going to do, Barlow is doing it. And, Walker is known as the better shooter. He's been okay shooting the ball. But he just, I don't know. I felt like when they first signed the two of them, because they signed the two-way deals, I felt like Walker was going to be the guy who was going to get the deal. Now I feel like it's Barlow. Barlow's a little bit bigger too. I mean, they're both listed at 6'9". But the funny part is, well, they list Barlow at 6'8". They list a Bona at 6'10", but Barlow is taller than Bona.
Can't believe anything this team says.
Fuzzy math.
I got to ask you, we talked about it to start with the Celtics getting probably the most wins they'll get all season against their media team. But the East is going to look different this year. You've got Halliburton coming back from an injury, Tatum with the injury. The Celtics kind of blew up their team. What are you seeing from the East? I'm not going to ask you whether the Sixers can compete because obviously it all depends on who's on the court. But what are you seeing from the other teams in the East?
I see the East. A lot of people say the East is wide open, right? But I do see two teams at the top. I see the Knicks and I see Cleveland. I think that this could be the year for the Knicks. I honestly do. Because I feel like what we saw in Cleveland last year, unless these guys improved, what we saw was a regular season team, right? They looked great in the regular season. The playoffs game, they looked horrible, right? The Knicks, they were so close, to making it to the conference final. And I do think that, Tibbs might have got, but I do think it benefits them more to play more players. And then you look at what they did. The people who they picked up, they got Yabusele, who the Sixers is funny. The Sixers need a power forward, and they let him walk, right? They got Jordan Clarkson, who was the sixth man of the year a couple of years ago. You know, a great player. Malcolm Brogdon just retired, but if he would have stayed, he would have been the backup point guard they would have needed. Then you go from there, you go down and you talk about the Detroit Pistons. We talk about toughness, a team like that that's really good. Um, we talk about the Orlando Magic. Yeah, this is a team that last year played through a lot of injuries and had a lot of different lineups. And now that they're healthy, you feel like they're going to make a run. They also picked up Desmond Bain, who's going to make them a better team, right? So then you got um, the Atlanta Hawks. They got Kristaps Porzingis. They picked up a couple other players. I think the Hawks are going to be phenomenal as well. Some people are down on the Milwaukee Bucks, but I still have them as a team that if they turn it together, if they do something right, then maybe at least for the regular season they could be good. They got Miles Turner now, right? So I look at the Sixers, and even though we say we don't know what the Sixers have, I look at their additions compared to the additions that the 76ers have made. I look at their health compared to the question marks that we have with the Sixers, right? And I have to say that I think that all those teams are going to finish ahead of the Sixers. I just do. Now. If Joel Embiid comes out and does something that's phenomenal, if Paul George does something that reminds us of Paul George of 2 years ago, then maybe they could compete. But I think that the NBA is not just about the big three. It's about balance. And we found that out last year with Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers, right? And when you look at it, not a knock on these guys that the Sixers picked up, but these guys picked up starter level players that come off the bench and play for them. Whereas the Sixers, they got two guys who were rotation players for their teams, and they had to give them two-way contracts. So right now, the 76ers are relying on two-way players and Trendon Watford to do the things that the Knicks are requiring on six man of the year, most improved player type guys to do. So it's going to be tough for the 76ers.
Well, look, we know you got to go, and we appreciate your time. And I want to say, and I'm sure Jason will echo the sentiment, we've been doing this show for 9 or 10 years now. The most knowledgeable person, the best reporter that we know, that we've read, that we've seen in this country is here right now in Keith Pompey. And I hope this city continues to appreciate the work that you do, the efforts you put into it, the positivity that you bring to everything that you do. And I don't want you to say something right now. I just want everybody to know that proof of that is that you said that the Pistons have a chance of being good in Orlando. And if you look at those rosters, they're littered with Michigan alumni.
It's funny that you say that, because when they played the Sixers, like, man, I can't believe they got all these good Michigan dudes, but most of them from overseas, though.
There you go.
Always.
See, Jeff says I always take it back to the Eagles. He always brings it back to Michigan. Keith Pompey.
Yeah, he'll bring it back to Little Blue.
Always. Keith Pompey, always appreciate you giving us time. Can't wait to be reading you throughout the season and talk to you as it goes along. Thanks, man.
All right. Hey, can I say one thing before we go, Jeff?
No.
So I'm just going to tell you this. They played, was it Mr. Brightside or Mrs. Brightside?
They do. Mr. Brightside.
Mr. Brightside. So I was in Austin. I'm so we're like, I'm kind of like, go out to drink, and they were playing that song. I'm like, yo, y'all don't know this. They play this between the third and fourth quarters at Michigan games.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, really? So yeah, I did give you a little shout out.
Look at that.
Little Blue.
Michigan Chief Marketer Keith Pompey, thank you for joining us. We'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Thanks, fella. Peace.